Annalise Michel, the girl pictured here, was reportedly possessed by demons. According to some accounts, these images were captured to help facilitate the exorcism. She was said to be possessed by 6 demons, each with distinct voices and mannerisms. Her doctors eventually diagnosed her with schizophrenia, but her family, scared and determined, chose to seek Annalise's cure through exorcisms, mainly performed by Fathers Arnold Renz and Ernst Alt. After years of suffering, the girl was no longer eating and was completely debilitated. Annalise passed away on July 1, 1976, from starvation. In 2013, Elisa Lam was staying at the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles. She disappeared during her stay and was later discovered in the water tank on the hotel roof. There were several unusual facts about the case that made it mysterious, including a video released by the LAPD of her entering an elevator, pressing several buttons, and apparently trying to hide from someone. Access to the hotel roof was blocked at the time of her death, and toxicology and coroner's report showed no visible trauma or reason for her death. Although her death was officially labeled as accidental drowning, many other theories include her being the victim of a serial killer. In 1959, deep in the Ural Mountains of Russia, a group of experienced trekkers died under mysterious circumstances that were never adequately explained. Investigators found that the victims had torn open a hole in their tent and fled from something while wearing minimal clothing, despite the temperatures being around minus 22 degrees Fahrenheit. Several victims died of hypothermia, but some had inexplicable fatal injuries, including a skull fracture, large chest fractures, and one victim had brain damage, despite no visible injuries to the skull. Every era has a certain type of fashion it's known for. This picture, taken in 1941, shows a typical spread of 1940s fashion. Hats, suits, button-up shirts, dresses on all the women, the usual. Well, all except for the guy who looks more suited for a Chipotle restaurant in 2016. The man in sunglasses has never been identified, clearly wearing a t-shirt with a modern logo and holding a portable camera that hadn't been invented yet. This photo has never been proven fake, so are we looking at a time traveler? At first glance, this picture seems quite simple. It's just 4 children pretending to be gangsters and having fun in the summer sun. But wait, count how many hands are in this picture. You'll notice that there is a 5th hand in this picture, right behind the back of the little Slipknot fan. The positions of the hands also don't make sense. The photo, like others in this list, hasn't been debunked by scientists or photography experts. Whose hand was it? Is this evidence of a ghost? We will never know. The disappearance of Frederick Valentich was an event that took place on October 21, 1978, in which Frederick Valentich, 20 years old, disappeared under unexplained circumstances while piloting a Cessna 182L over the Bass Strait to King Island, Australia. Before his disappearance, Valentich reported via radio that he encountered an unidentified aircraft flying at high speed dangerously close to his Cessna and subsequently hovered over the aircraft. The case gained media attention and became part of UFO lore. This lighthouse has intrigued many people over the years, especially those who look at it and swear they see a woman standing on top of it. It seems there's a lady at this lighthouse. The mystery remains, though, because no one knows who she is or why she's there. Many believe she is a ghost haunting the lighthouse. On July 25, 1976, NASA's Viking 1 spacecraft obtained photos that would forever stir the popular imagination. The mission was exploring Mars when it recorded on the planet's surface what appeared to be a human face. It was enough to trigger the biggest controversy for the space agency, with a list of theories about the existence of extraterrestrial life. At the same time, researchers said the image was simply a coincidence caused by light and shadows. Conspiracy theorists created various stories to justify what was dubbed the face on Mars. Since the first grainy footage of an ape-like figure walking through the woods, people have believed in Bigfoot. This image was taken in Big Otter, West Virginia, and shows a strange creature walking into the forest. It's impossible to say from so far away exactly what this figure is, but some people believe it's evidence that Sasquatch is real. This photo is from 1996, where Ike Clanton decided to take a picture with his gun and cowboy clothing. Everything was going well until the picture was revealed, and a strange man was seen in the background of the photo. No one knew who the man was or how he appeared there without anyone seeing. Ike believed so strongly that it was a spirit that it was one of the causes for him to take up a religion. The McMinnville UFO photographs were taken on a farm near McMinnville, Oregon, United States, in 1950. The photos were reprinted in Life magazine and newspapers all over the country and are often considered among the most famous ever taken of a UFO. UFO skeptics concluded that the photos are a hoax, but many ufologists continue to argue that the photos are genuine and show an unidentified object in the sky. In 2018, a giant dog-like creature was caught on camera chasing the streets of Argentina. This long-legged beast was said to have killed a pit bull and a German shepherd who dared to confront it. However, as with all these things, the only evidence is this picture. Beneath the island nation of Malta lies an extensive underground necropolis, the Hypogeum of Hal Saflieni. It was originally discovered in 1902, and experts believe it was constructed out of limestone around 2500 BC. One room in particular, now known as the Oracle Chamber, continues to baffle scientists to this day. Every sound produced in this room is amplified nearly 100 times, an incomprehensible feat of ancient acoustics. Scientists are unsure whether this was intentional due to inexplicably advanced techniques or if it was simply a happy coincidence. It appears that these Civil War soldiers are standing over a pterodactyl, which should have been long extinct. Many claim this photo was edited and altered, but others believe it's real. There are also other photos that seem to be very similar from the time. The Mayaka skunk ape is, according to most reports, some type of relation to Bigfoot. This large ape-like creature has been seen many times over the years, with the first sightings dating back to the 1960s, but more recently it has been caught on video several times. Skeptics of the sightings say it is much more likely the misidentification of other wild animals, including local black bears. During a boating trip with his family in the summer of 1964, Robert Le Serec saw a creature in the Australian waters that appeared monstrous in size. Described as being about 80 feet long, with snake-like features and eyes on top of its head, the creature quickly became known as the Hook Island Monster. This image will be hard to explain, no matter how you want to cut it. This man is standing here confidently in front of a tree, holding a blue and white pickup truck. The notion is that the car belongs to him, but unless this guy possesses some supernatural powers that we cannot see here, it's unclear how he accomplished such a feat. This photo was taken in 1925. It shows a girl visiting the grave of her twin sister. The twin sister had died the year before in a house fire. The parents often saw her talking and playing with her twin sister after she passed away. They thought it was just part of the grieving process until this was developed. The Antikythera mechanism is a 2000-year-old device believed to be the first computer in history. The tool is so advanced that its technology would not be seen again for 1,000 years. It was found in the Aegean Sea in 1900 and was used in astronomy to make measurements so precise that they allowed the user to predict celestial events such as eclipses. The closest technology came to it was the clock in the 14th century. Nessie is the legendary creature that inhabits Loch Ness in Scotland. This monster may well be the oldest of the unexplained mysteries on our list, as the earliest reports of sightings date back to 565 AD. Since then, many people have claimed to have seen the lake monster, but there have also been many false sightings, hoaxes, and misidentifications that included everything from trees to natural gases. In the 7th century, the Byzantine Empire was attacked by invaders from the eastern Mediterranean. Fortunately, they had a secret weapon, the so-called Greek fire. which was sprayed onto enemy ships from the safe decks of Byzantine ships, powered by a device that was never replicated but is referred to as a siphon in ancient literature. Most incredible is that Greek fire was able to continue burning even in water. Scientists still don't know what it consisted of. After the fall of the Byzantine Empire, the ancient incendiary weapon disappeared and was never used again. The Mahabharata is likely a non-fiction account of a long and ancient war between two Indian tribal families. Some moments of violence and devastation in the book sound eerily like the aftermath of a nuclear explosion that took millions of lives in a matter of days after weapons called astra in the original Sanskrit, which roughly translates to launchers. Of course, this seems impossible, but research in the region of India where these battles occurred has found an inexplicably high rate of cancer and birth defects among ancient inhabitants. Neither scientists nor historians have yet been able to shed light on the matter. Many modern knives and swords claim to be made from Damascus steel, but none truly compare to the legendary Damascus steel. During the Crusades, reports surfaced describing superior steel from the Levant that was incredibly sharp and flexible but could not be damaged. It has been described as an alloy that could cut a floating scarf, bend 90 degrees, and bend back again without being damaged. To date, no one has been able to reproduce the original recipe. Ancient Norse stories speak of a magical stone that was indispensable to Viking sailors when crossing treacherous seas. This stone was said to have been able to determine the position of the sun with inexplicable precision, even under very cloudy skies. Scientists now believe these stones are pieces of ice spate or calcite, known for their polarizing effect. However, experts have not been able to replicate the process of using these stones to locate the sun. In Delhi, India, there is a massive iron pillar standing at 23.6 feet tall that has been there since the 4th century. What's interesting about this pillar is that even after more than a millennium of exposure to the elements, it is completely rust-free. Scientists are still puzzled by the immaculate condition of the iron pillar. Some believe the rust-free state is due to Delhi's dry climate, while others credit the unique mineral composition of the iron used in its construction. These pipes are evidence of plumbing in ancient China. The pipes were located in 3 caves on Mount Baigong. There is evidence of other pipes and plumbing scattered around the world, leading many to believe that these technological advances are a trace of extraterrestrial life that visited Earth. This battery was found in Iraq, dated to the period of 200 to 500 BC. This kind of vessel would have been created in Mesopotamia and appears to have copper and iron inside, that is, the elements for creating a small electric battery many years before humanity supposedly knew what electricity was. In 1962, the U.S. National Science Foundation created a technologically advanced oceanographic research ship called the USNS Eltanin. One of the discoveries occurred on August 29, 1964, when the USNS Eltanin was photographing the seabed west of Cape Horn at a depth of almost 3 miles. There, along the nearly barren seabed, they managed to photograph a bizarre structure sitting in the middle of nowhere. Many believed it was a lost artifact left behind by an ancient civilization that once occupied the ice-free realm of Antarctica. Similar to the Damascus blades of the Middle East, researchers are stumped when it comes to the composition of the ancient Ulfberht swords in northern Europe. These swords were widely used during the Viking Age and were made from steel so strong and pure that it doesn't seem to fit with the known smelting and metallurgy techniques of the time. Some experts believe that early trade between the two cultures allowed northern Europeans to adopt some of the Damascus techniques. While you might assume the process of mixing concrete has only improved over time, it turns out that the ancient Romans were much better mixers than we are. Some Roman concrete buildings have stood for over 2,000 years, sometimes even underwater. While scientists have closely studied the composition of ancient concrete and found traces of volcanic ash and the mineral lucite, which they suspect to be the secret components, they have still not been able to reproduce the material. Drug residues were found in Egyptian mummies. It is thought that there was no transoceanic contact between Africa and South America in ancient times. So how is it possible that there were drugs in ancient Egypt? One of the greatest mysteries of ancient Europe is that of the Roman dodecahedron. They have been found all over Europe, vary in size, and all date from the 2nd to the 4th century AD. While their intricate shapes and sinister knobs projecting from each tip seem to suggest they must have had a purpose, their function is still a mystery. Some experts believe science is searching for a non-existent meaning, suggesting the dodecahedrons were simply toys for Roman children. On the southern shore of Lake Michigan, there is a hill that is called Alive by travel guide compilers, all because it moves several feet each year. But if scientists have long explained this phenomenon by wind action, the sudden appearance of funnels has yet to be successfully explained. And they emerge so unexpectedly that, a few years ago, a child fell into one as a funnel formed right underneath him. The Bolivian volcano Uturuncu, located in the southeastern part of Bolivia, rarely erupts. According to Novati.ru editors, the last time this happened was about 300,000 years ago. However, for completely inexplicable reasons, it has unusual activity for most others. The fact is that in underground cavities, there is a magma buildup, and the speed of this process is about 10 times faster than that of analogs around the world. Scientists believe it started recently, but why and when it will end is unknown. In this unusual way, scientists refer to the periodic appearance of some cracks in the Earth's crust throughout the planet's history. The greatest tectonic paradox is distinguished by the absence of the traditional height differences between the diverging edges. In addition, earthquakes usually occur during their formation, but this does not happen in the areas where the mysterious faults appear. However, there is a rumble at this time that scientists cannot explain. In the hottest part of the planet, there is an interesting object called the Richat structure, and among ordinary people, it is better known by the poetic nickname Eye of the Sahara. It is a geological formation with a diameter of about 164 feet, the origin of which is still unknown today. Among the versions of the object's appearance, the most popular was a meteorite impact, but researchers have found no traces of substances traditionally found in a meteorite crater. These drawings are not subject to explanation by the human mind because they were created before the 12th century by the Incan or Nazca civilizations and are only visible from a bird's-eye view. The size of these drawings is more than impressive. The eagle is 394 feet long, the spider is 151 feet, and the lizard is 617 feet. Why, and more importantly, how these drawings were created remains a mystery. This ancient stone temple is located just 81 miles from London and is still one of the unresolved mysteries of ancient civilizations. 30 stones, each about 13 feet tall, form a perfect circle with a diameter of exactly 108 feet. All the local legends associate the construction of Stonehenge with the name of the legendary wizard Merlin and endow this place with unimaginable magical powers. In scientific circles, there is an opinion about the use of this stone monument as an ancient astronomical laboratory. This ancient shrine was built between 1471 and 1493 and was divided into the House of the Sun and the House of Arms and War, serving the worship of their respective deities. In 1536, the temple was captured by Spain and turned into a quarry. The stones with which this ancient temple was built were unique. The masonry without a drop of connecting mortar was so precise that to this day it is impossible to insert a needle between the surviving stones. How an ancient civilization could have possessed the tools and knowledge necessary for such stonework remains a mystery to this day. At the end of the 20th century, Two enormous pyramids were discovered at the bottom of the Bermuda Triangle, built with an extraordinarily dense glass-like material. Who, when, and why these pyramids were built remains a mystery. However, their presence reveals another side of the disappearance of ships and planes over this anomalous area. Perhaps we simply do not yet understand the nature of the pyramids and their impact on the world around us. These giant stone idols are believed to have been erected between 600 and 800 years ago on Easter Island, located in the Pacific Ocean and now owned by Chile. The size of these idols is also impressive, ranging from 9.8 feet to 393 feet, and the weight of each is up to 20,000 pounds. According to the main hypothesis, the statues were carved out of solid stone and delivered to the site using ingenious systems involving levers. However, the local population still has a legend that the statues walked to their places on their own. One of the major highlights of the American Museum of Natural History's Central Asian expedition occurred in 1923 at the Flaming Cliffs of Mongolia. It involved the discovery of eggs that, upon first analysis, were believed to belong to the Protoceratops dinosaur. Roy Chapman Andrews, the leader of the expedition and future museum director. This ghostly figure was captured on a security camera at Hampton Court, a royal palace located in the Greater London area. The figure appeared to be closing one of the palace doors, but when the guards arrived at the scene, no one was there. As the palace has a long and violent history, it is believed that the figure is one of several ghosts rumored to haunt the building. A network of tunnels beneath all of Europe extends from Spain to Turkey. The tunnels date back to 10,000 BC. How Stone Age people were able to build such a tunnel highway, how much time and resources were required, can only be guessed. The purpose of these underground passages also remains unknown. This is an ancient object that is on display at the Larco Museum in Lima, Peru. It belonged to the Mochica culture and is known as the pendant disc, although it is also called the galactic disc. However, it is not really known what it shows, but for some, it would be the graphical representation of a spiral galaxy left by ancient astronauts to the Mochican ancestors. A massive underground city, which remained active for thousands of years almost uninterrupted, rests more than 279 feet deep. It was inhabited almost continuously for thousands of years, changing hands from the Phrygians to the Persians and then to the Christians in the Byzantine era. It was finally abandoned in the 1920s by the Cappadocian Greeks, who fled en masse to Greece after their defeat in the Greco-Turkish War of 1919 to 1922. The disc is about 5.9 inches, 15 centimeters in diameter, and is covered on both sides by a spiral of stamped symbols. The language printed on the face of the mysterious disc has never been fully decoded, and its symbols are not part of any known alphabet, ancient or modern. Some symbols, however, resemble those found in Linear A and Linear B, which were the ancient languages of the Minoans. In January 2012, skulls of a boy were found during an excavation in southern Florida. The smaller skull was from a 10-year-old person and still had tissue on the bone. Authorities were called to investigate, but this was not just an ordinary crime. The flesh was mummified, and the skulls were at least 800 years old. The skulls had a unique structure known as the Inca bone, which mostly occurs in native Peruvians. These gold hats are considered one of the strangest artifacts found in Europe. The oldest is known as the Berlin cone, which was created in 1300 BC and discovered in 1835. It is covered in 1,739 symbols of the sun and moon, placing it beyond the limits of the metallurgy technology of its time. These circles are circular stone structures built in the Syrian desert. They are believed to be at least 2,000 years old. An archaeologist working on the structures said you can distinguish a vague pattern from the ground, but you need to ascend at least 100 feet, 30 meters, to clearly see the structures. In 1872, near Lake Winnipesaukee, New Hampshire, a black stone egg about 4 inches, 10 centimeters tall was discovered, with images carved into it. It was characterized as a wonder of the scientific world. Nothing similar has ever been found anywhere in the United States to this day. It is known as the Mystery Stone. The Inca Gate of Aramumuru in Peru is a large square of stone. It is 7 meters on each side of a flat surface. Some people believe the site is a magical portal. Locals say it will take you to the underworld and can be opened by magicians with enchanted or special keys. Archaeologists claim to have discovered a cell phone that is no less than 800 years old during an excavation in Fuschel am See, Austria. According to international press reports, the device is covered in symbols and resembles an old Nokia mobile phone. Some believe the object may have been brought to Earth by aliens, but the authenticity of the image has not been proven, and those responsible for the excavation have not been identified. U.S. explorers discovered a group of mysterious, perfectly aligned holes on the seafloor that are about 1.6 miles, 2.6 kilometers, below the ocean surface, and they have no idea who or what opened them. The strange holes were discovered by the crew of the Okeanos Explorer vessel from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, while exploring the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, part of the largest mountain range on Earth, and a region of the seafloor that remains largely unexplored. This painting was created many hundreds of years ago, but seems to suggest that there was more to ancient cultures than previously thought. It is a painting of Mary, the mother of Jesus, but here is something a little more in the background. Flying high in the sky seems to be some kind of UFO, and behind Mary's shoulder are some people looking at it. In 1889, a group of workers was searching for water near the town of Nampa in southwestern Idaho. To create a well, they drilled a hole about 295 feet, 90 meters deep, at which point their steam pump began spitting out bits of clay. Among the projectiles, the workers discovered a small clay figurine, the size of a dime, that appeared to have been molded in the shape of a slim woman in a dress. This manuscript is proven to be from the Middle Ages, but to date, no one has been able to decipher it accurately. It is thought to be a medical book, but no one knows what it is or what is written there. The Voynich manuscript is one of the most famous cases in the history of cryptography. The mysterious airship or ghost airship was a phenomenon that thousands of people in the United States claim to have witnessed from late 1896 to mid-1897. Typical reports of airships involved nighttime sightings of unidentified flying lights, but more detailed reports described actual airships comparable to a blimp or dirigible. Judge C.R. Magny State Park in the United States is most famous for housing the Devil's Kettle. It's a waterfall where the Brule River splits in two. One of these parts falls into a cave about 9.8 feet deep and disappears underground. Researchers have tried throwing various objects into the kettle, but they have yet to figure out where it goes. 36_A. In 1962, the U.S. National Science Foundation created a technologically advanced oceanographic research ship called the USNS Eltanin. One of the discoveries occurred on August 29, 1964, when the USNS Eltanin was photographing the seabed west of Cape Horn at a depth of almost 3 miles. There, along the nearly barren seabed, they managed to photograph a bizarre structure sitting in the middle of nowhere. Many believed it was a lost artifact left behind by an ancient civilization that once occupied the ice-free realm of Antarctica. 36_B. Of course, scientists quickly tried to cover up the story, dismissing the discovery as an underwater sponge. They claimed what was photographed in the picture is the Cladorhiza concrescens, a sea sponge from the family Cladorhizidae. There are many problems with this theory. For example, the so-called Eltanin antenna is very geometric and has precise angles and formations, which cannot be said of the sea sponges it's compared to. The Naga fireballs, also known as Mekong lights or ghost lights, are a mysterious natural phenomenon seen on the Mekong River in Thailand and Laos. The glowing reddish balls are said to rise from the water into the air and are reported most often at night in late October. Despite attempts to explain the Naga fireballs scientifically, no clear conclusion has been reached.